Laibach is one of the most important bands, not here in Slovenia, former Yugoslavia, not in Europe, maybe in the whole world. You accomplished many things. One, I think, that is most important is you've foreseen the most evil thing in the world, that is political correctness, that is destroying art. How you fight with it?
Political correctness.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we are. I mean, political correctness. Hello. Political correctness is actually something which I would say lots of blood had to be shed before they started to actually use the term political correctness. And I think, in a way, it would have to be opposite. And it's, you know, nowadays it's really, I think it's important to try to go against the notion of political correctness. But there's always, I mean, the way, the method itself always has to be taught again and again, because this political correctness is absolutely something most, in a way, most totalitarian structure.
The new totalism.
Sorry?
The new totalism.
It's, well, many things are totalitarian, but political correctness is a heavy one. It's a heavy one, and it's also a stylistic figure in a way. You have to, in a way, it's much more demanding than censorship ever was in the old times. So I'm almost tempted to say that political correctness has its good sides also, for the development of language, for the development of art, and so on. And I think it's, you know, it's easy to work when there's no censorship, no political correctness, and I think it's really, really important. These things like political correctness are actually helping to develop interesting, formally interesting language, which is, of course, you know, always the key within the art.
Well, when you are any type of artist, you have to have some figure that is very evil, because when you have a figure to fight with that figure in a government or any other way, you have your freedom and you have power to create that, because you must okay, this is going wrong. Reći ću ovo na srpskom, pa
da te razumijem cijeli
svet. Svi umjetnici moraju da imaju neku zlu figuru u samom sistemu, jer kad nema neke zle figure, onda nemaju razloga da se bune, nemaju razloga da stvaraju, i onda umjetnost nije to što jeste.
Da, mislim, to je ok, to je ona stara stvar koju je, mislim, da Orson Welles provalio, da je Švajcarska imala 500 godina mira, pa proizvela samo tu sad sa kukaricom, jel? Cuckoo clock. Now we are... And during the Roman Empire, during the times of you know, the old Roman Empire, there was lots of art going on. Not only old Roman Empire, but what Orson Welles said, that the worse the times are, the better the art is. And I think that's partly true.
When you started 30 years ago, when you picked the name, when you picked the type of the music, I think that because there is a lot to talk about your name and why is that name. I think that it was because you have to have some name to get on the nerves in that time on the communists in all Yugoslavia, that they didn't want art to grow. Is this the only way to get them to hear you, what you have to say?
I'm not so sure about what you said, that communists in old Yugoslavia didn't want art to grow. I think that in a way there was much more art in Yugoslavian times, in communist times. Actually, whatever happened good in the common wealth of Yugoslavia was actually happened pretty much during the communist times. If you go into the movies, if you go to literature, even music, pop culture and so on, that was the time which was actually very productive. But it's when we started to work, the whole thing started to fall apart already, because we started to work at the same year when Tito died, at the same time almost. And in a way, we wanted to substitute the emptiness of which happened with Tito's death. In a way, we even maybe succeeded to a certain extent, but maybe kind of in a wrong way. And I think it's the pickup of the name which we were looking for ourselves. I have to say that I only joined to Laibach when I heard the name. I said, this is the right thing, because the name was so contradictory
and provocative,
that it actually opened all these possibilities. And I said, this must be something which will actually create a good substance. So the choose of the name is so important, which all parents should be aware when they are actually giving the name to their children.
The sound in the beginning of Laibach was heavy sound, industrial sound. It sounded like machines are pounding in the back. Where you get the idea for that sound, and why that sound, especially that sound?
Oh, that was quite easy, because we all more or less, not everybody, but most of us, we grow up in Trbovlje, which was and it still is, but at that time it was even more a heavy industrial environment with lots of factories. Some of us as a kids, we worked in those factories, and music itself is okay, but concrete sounds are even much better. Because if you know how to listen to the sounds around, which are not only musical sounds, but general sounds of life, social sounds of language, those are much more tempting, much more inspirative, and none of us was a kind of great musician, of skillful musician of instruments, whatever, guitar or synthesizer or drums and so on. Those instruments are all fine, but we knew that there's a sound going around, a concrete sound, an industrial sound, which in a way was much more tempting, much more provocative, which should be kind of included into, it was already included before as a concrete sound in evening classical music, but into the popular culture. That only started together with the punk maybe a few years before, or approximately the same time. And yeah.
I like that old analog sound. This digital sound is too pure for me.
I think the digital sound is just the right sound for the digital times.
For digital times. Okay, you always trying to do something new with your music and still sound like Laibach.
Not that we are obsessed by novelties, because we don't, we believe in a way that nothing is new. All the stories are old. Once I've heard this poet, Slovenian poet Gregor Stemiša, who jumped on the table in Pen Club, and he was drunk, and he said, poetry is not what, because everything has been said, but it is how. How do we actually tell it? And that's the question of form. And I think that from that perspective, we should fight for kind of recognizing the zeitgeist through the form, and we always should discover new possibilities, how to say all things.
Yeah, the first thing that they taught us, because I finished Academy of Film and Theatre Art, that all stories are already told. It's the way how you told it. So it's similar. Okay, there is much talk about the use of symbols and religion in your appearance, not only in the music, but I think that you're trying, like some authors in the movies, like Kenneth Anger or Alexander Jodorowsky, to do allegory on all religion, all the symbols that already used in the world.
I mean, you know, we don't necessarily use the symbols in a rational way. You know, some of the symbols, a combination of symbols, appeals to us very irrationally, also as a kind of as something which we cannot really explain, and we just use them. I wouldn't say emotionally, but instinctively. Instinctively, and sometimes we maybe are closer to rational use of those symbols, and most of the times we are not. We don't, you know, pre-think about every use, and we simply are trying to follow the power of those symbols and conflict them between themselves, and that's what we do. And I think Jodorowsky and the other guy, Kenneth Anger, pretty much worked in the same. I mean, okay, Kenneth Anger had a different preconception, but Jodorowsky for sure.
Tell me about your audience. Is it always the same audience, or you get in every new project you have the new audience?
Well, you know, considering that Laibach is now already like 30 years in existence, audience is changing because people don't. Most people stop visiting, concerts and being part of popular culture when they actually have to go to work and provide money for their families and so on. So that's approximately around when they're like 25 years old. And then when they're 50 years old, they kind of start to go visiting concerts again to remember how it was, you know, 30 years ago. And that's why you have all these comeback projects and so on. But and our audience is changing. It is changing. But you know, some part of the audience is there all the time, and it will probably get old with the project.